Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with ARMSX2 or ARMSX2 or subscribe to Mr. Sujano depending on how you wanted to interpret that. Anyways here, ARMSX2 just got a massive update. And they say this is version 0.5.4 Diamond. This build introduces list view, game selector, additional options, settings. And the highlights of this release are reworked GL renderer, 15 to 40% performance increase from private testing, and expanded memory. I don't know, just felt like requesting for more. This release also works across all CPU architectures, so Adreno, Mali, and whatever else. If you are interested in ARMSX2 and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. It is worth noting here that all releases for ARMSX2 right now are only on their Discord, so I'll drop a link to their Discord in the description below. Additionally here, and this one's interesting, they say, though we have determined that devices with Mali or PowerVR GPUs performance will be much lower than Adreno GPUs, and the Vulkan renderer will not be available because they are missing critical dual source blending feature set. Blame them for their drivers, and them being Mali and PowerVR. But overall here, I'd say that ARMSX2 is making improvements in leaps and bounds. At this point in time, it is closed source, but from my understanding, once they officially release it, it will be open sourced. And speaking about PlayStation emulation, but jumping up a few generations here and talking about PlayStation 4 emulation with ShadPS4. And this is a very interesting case of emuception. So someone's got a brand new video up here on YouTube that I'd recommend checking out. And again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below. It's titled Emulating the PS4 with ShadPS4 on the PS4. Now, I don't know about you, but this is super interesting. It does seem they are running Endeavor OS. But taking a look at this situation, and is this the ideal way to run ShadPS4? I guess it depends on your definition of ideal. Is it the optimal way? No. Is it the best way to experience PS4 emulation or PS4 gaming in general? No. I guess it depends on your version of ideal, though. This is pretty neat overall, and let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. I would say it's impressive. And continuing to talk about PlayStation stuff and continuing to go up a few generations. Next up here, we're talking about PlayStation 6 stuff, just not with emulation, with actual hardware. And Moore's Law is Dead has a brand new video titled PS6 Dockable Handheld Leak. AMD Canis Specs Crush Xbox Ally X. Now, Moore's Law is Dead has a number of videos about the PlayStation 6. It's almost like they know more about the PlayStation 6 than people at Sony do. Anyways, here, if this is real, this could be very interesting overall. If you are interested and wanted to learn more about this, check out Moore's Law is Dead video. And again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below at the bottom. Interestingly here, he says that the PS6 handheld, if it does exist, will be dockable. And I would say, I don't want to say that would be common sense, but if they were making a handheld, you'd think they'd make it dockable. That would just be table stakes. I mean, take a look at the Steam Deck, the Nintendo Switch, Switch 2, the ROG Ally. Pretty much all of the big gaming handhelds out there are dockable, and I would expect no less from a PlayStation 6 handheld. Although with Sony, you never know. Either way here, if this turns out to be real, I think that would be a super interesting console overall, and I think a lot of people would be interested in it. But it's also very interesting that a lot of this stuff is just coming from Moore's Law is Dead. Not discrediting them, but this is the main source of these rumors, at least from my understanding. If there's other sources of this PS6 stuff, let me know in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about something that I would say is a little bit controversial. It's a brand new Commodore 64 emulator called C64emu. And C64emu just got its first public release. However, there are a couple of things to consider. Number one, this is not open source, and number two, a lot of people have been questioning it. As for the key features, they say realistic CRT emulation with RGB, ambient occlusion around the CRT screen, smooth scroll on every refresh rate, PAL emulation only, screenshot saving option, realistic audio resampling, surround sound, and even more. I received a number of messages about this one, and I wouldn't necessarily trust it. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily malware, but at the same time, this emulator came out of nowhere and it's closed source. And this comment kind of sums up how I'm feeling about it right now, and this is over on Reddit Emulation. Closed source, Windows binary distributed from someone's Google Drive. Multiple flags are raised. This person here says, I'm not accusing OP of anything, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if the reason it's closed source is because it's full of code stolen from Vice. And this person says, yeah, that is a rough start. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below, but at this point in time, it's one I am steering clear from. And speaking about closed and open source, next up, we're talking about an open sourced emulator, or an open sourced family of emulators here for the Gear emulators. And here's one, for example, Gear Coleco, which just got a brand new update, and at the time of filming, version 1.5.3 is the latest update. So with this update, they've added gamepad support for L2 and R2 buttons. They've updated the game controller database and improved memory editor in debugger and also bug fixes. Now, I did say Gear Family, so this is Gear Coleco, which is for the ColecoVision, and Gear Boy version 3.73 just dropped for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, with the exact same updates. On top of that, Gear System just released version 3.8.4 with the exact same updates. And this is an emulator for the Sega Master System, Game Gear, and SG-1000. On top of that, Gear Graphics version 1.6.3 just got a brand new update with almost the exact same stuff, just a few extras. They've improved the ADPCM audio filter, and they've also added an option for saving sprites and backgrounds to PNG. Now, Gear Graphics is for the Super Graphics, the Turbo Graphics, the PC Engine, and even more. Next up, we're shifting from software to hardware and talking about Evercade, and listen to this headline over on Time Extension. Evercade seller Funstock freezes US orders until further notice. It is not possible for us as a retailer to absorb these costs in the long term. For more information on the matter, I would recommend checking out the Time Extension article, especially if you're interested in picking up an Evercade. I guess they say here a fee of 30% now applies to all Funstock imports into the US. This is based on the country of production, which for Evercade and Hypermegatech products is China. It is not possible for us as a retailer to absorb these costs in the long term. At this time, we cannot offer the service for customers to pay this cost to us ahead of shipment. This is something we will investigate further and monitor the ongoing situation. However, it seems if you pre-ordered an Evercade already, they will honor that pre-order. And speaking about stuff not shipping to the US, next up we're talking about the newly launched DJI Mic 3. Now, for those who may or may not be aware, for my outdoor recordings, I use the DJI Mic 2. I think it's an absolutely fantastic mic and mic kit overall. I'm a huge fan of it. It's kind of being washed out by my shirt there. I'll just hold it over this way. Anyways, here, I'm a huge fan of the DJI Mic 2. I think it's a fantastic microphone. And I was very interested in taking a look at the DJI Mic 3. Now, I'm in Canada and not affected by this. But if you are in the States, from my understanding, this brand new mic is not shipping there. So here's the quote from DJI up on Tech Radar. DJI Mic 3 is not in stock in the US upon the global launch. DJI remains committed to the US market and making our products and services available to our US-based customers. However, we've recently had to adjust our market strategies for certain projects in light of evolving market conditions. For more information on the matter, I would recommend checking out the Tech Radar review, and I've been searching YouTube to find comparisons between the Mic 2 and Mic 3 and haven't found anything solid just yet. It seems there were a lot of reviews out there that had an embargo until like today or yesterday in order to release these videos, and I haven't seen one directly compare the DJI Mic 2 versus the DJI Mic 3, which does raise a few questions. Be very curious to see once people get these in their hands and directly compare the two. And speaking about stuff that'll probably get people talking, next up here we're talking about Resident Evil Requiem. And listen to this headline over on Video Games Chronicle. Some people couldn't handle it. Resident Evil Requiem has a third-person mode because RE7 was too scary. Here's some of the quote. Looking back at Resident Evil 7's first-person perspective, I implemented that as a way to make it more immersive and more scary than ever before, which is why I think most media and players agreed it was an incredibly scary game. But it was possibly too scary. I think some people couldn't handle it and either couldn't finish it or didn't even start it. And that's something that I look back on thinking that, I want to make sure that people can enjoy the game. Now, I've seen some very interesting hot takes about that, and in my opinion here, I like the option between first and third person. I mean, Resident Evil just feels like it should be a third-person game based on all of the previous ones. And I think some people prefer third-person just due to nostalgia and also what they're used to from the series. But let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below. Do you prefer Resident Evil in a third-person or fixed camera setting, or do you prefer it in first-person? And also, do you think first-person is too scary? Personally here, I'm just more comfortable playing in third person because that's what I'm used to from the series. And speaking about horror games, next up we're talking about By Sweet Carole. And if you're interested in horror games and also a very unique art style, this game might be up your alley. It got a brand new release date trailer and it's releasing on October 9th. Based on the trailer here, I think this game is going to be pretty interesting, and based on the views of the trailer, I don't think it's on a lot of people's radar. I mean, this video just has over 5,000 views. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. There seem to be some very interesting platform elements to it and also some very interesting graphics. I honestly think that this has the potential to be a very good game. I'm hoping it's going to be. And this one is releasing for pretty much everything: PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Switch. And speaking about interesting stuff, next up we're talking about Clock Tower and the Wonder Swan. If you're a fan of the Wonder Swan, this may be up your alley here, as this game has just received an English fan translation. Is the Wonder Swan the best version of Clock Tower? No, absolutely not in my opinion. But at the same time here, this game is now playable in English on the Wonder Swan. They say here, the Wonder Swan version of Clock Tower is now available in English. The game was originally released for the Super Famicom in 1995 and later ported to Windows, PlayStation, and finally the Wonder Swan. The game has received fan translations for every version except this one until now. And speaking about fan stuff, next up we're talking about something that I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. At least I, for one, am extremely excited about this. It is currently in development, but it's basically Fallout in GZ Doom. And the attention to detail here, the development that's going in, and the overall results just are incredibly impressive. I mean, I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on the matter in the comments below. In my opinion here, this may be my favorite version of Doom Fallout. Doom Out, Falloom, or subscribe to Mr. Sujano, however you wanted to mash it up. It just seems like a perfect combination, and I'm a huge fan of Doom, a huge fan of Fallout, and I just think this is absolutely awesome. And speaking about some arguably awesome and exciting stuff, next up we're talking about Space Invaders cross Pac Man. Yes, this is an actual thing. It was a game released for like a month on iMode, and people thought it was lost to time until today. This game has now been dumped and preserved. I think it's a super exciting preservation, and I mean, it's a very interesting collaboration overall, replacing the ghosts with Space Invader enemies. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Now, some people have been asking where the legendary One Fluff is, and I'll be honest with you, she's just not interested in being in the same room while I'm filming, at least not recently. She has these routines. Sometimes she'll be bugging me on a daily basis. Sometimes she'll be bugging Mrs. Sujano. And right now, she is bugging neither of us. She's on a chair in front of a window watching the birds, and that's her latest routine. And that'll probably last for maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month. Who the heck knows here? She's on her own schedule. She does what she wants. So anyways, we talked about a bunch. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.